are open to having the conversation and not just stopping once everybody's got everything off their chest. It's like, all right, well, we did it. But it's like, what's next? And I feel like for our generation, that's where we are. It's like, what's next? Yeah. You say, okay, go vote. Okay, I go vote. Then what?
What happens?
Yeah, and like we're still in the same place. Right.
It's interesting, too, because this is the first time I've actually voted in Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. I used to do my mail-in ballot back in Brevard County. And I've taken some special time just to educate myself of who the candidates are. And can you explain why it's so important to vote? Why getting involved in your community locally, in the local policy, why that's important?
Yeah. So there are a lot of reasons why you should vote, but just know that recognize our system here. Our system is a democracy, and you are not counted. Your voice is not heard if you do not exercise that vote at the ballot box. Like, we live in a democracy. Your voice only matters if you vote for the person that is going to represent your values and your beliefs. So that is the situation that we're in. And unfortunately, in the last election, not the last election, but in the 2018 election for this race, Seat 5, only 35% of registered voters here in Tallahassee voted in the primary. And we look and if you look even deeper into those numbers, there is a difference between race and class as well. So, and especially in Tallahassee, the number one reason why you should vote is we have 5 people who decide the fate, the direction, what is considered growth, or the laws or the rules in this city, where we invest in, what we decide to put support behind, what are considered priorities, and what are actions. 5 people decide that. And those 5 people are the ones who are elected. So if you're not engaging, let's say politics is a game. If we are not in the game, if we are not exercising our vote, if we are not organizing, if we are not getting people out there to contribute to the conversation, then we are being left out. And that means that we have diluted our power. We're already trying to fight at the state level to prevent gerrymandering.
Right.
Speak on it.
I saw that. I was like, oh, here we go.
Redlining, redistricting.
Voter suppression is real.
Yeah.
So we have an opportunity here, like, our ancestors fought for this right. It
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and we can't be stubborn and be like, well, I don't trust the government, and, I voted once, why do I have to do it again?
What difference is it going to make?
Right, yeah. Well, if you keep up that energy, no difference is going to come. Because when we have people who come along and who really want to bring progressive change here, we have to get behind them.
Now, here's a follow-up question to that, because I feel like 90% of politicians would answer similar, especially Democrats. There's a lot of distrust within the black community in general, just from not even just a party standpoint, but we live in Tallahassee, which is predominantly Democratic. It's pretty well known if you win this primary, you'll probably go on to represent the entire county for your positions. I guess the question is, why hasn't there been more change, even in a forward-thinking Democratic county? And it seems that way in a lot of major cities where there's high crime, there's a lot of issues that go on. Poverty rate is high, illiteracy rates are high. Why is it that even in progressive cities, we can't make the progressive changes that we need to make?
Well, I would say Tallahassee is not a progressive city.
Oh, yeah, very old school.
If you compare our policies even to Gainesville is trying to change their zoning laws. That is progressive. South Florida, like Tampa, St. Petersburg, Miami, they're trying to introduce rent control or stabilization. That is progressive. We can't even introduce no one using single-use plastics in Tallahassee.
And why is that, though? Because we elect Democratic officials every go-around, basically, right? Is it just time for a change in the leadership and who the incumbents are?
Well, if you look at our city commission, I think that a factor in progression or change is also age.
Yes, totally agree.
And
Totally
if you
agree.
look at our city commission, not only our city commission, but if you look at our organizational chart, and if you look at the staff members that are leaders or managers, some of them are older and they like to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they maintain that philosophy and that mentality. And especially because we don't have younger students here that are getting into the pipeline for local government, they're not introducing new ideas as well. And so if you have a staff that is maintaining this philosophy of let's do it works, and if you have a commission that is also maintaining that philosophy or is afraid to introduce more progressive ideas or does not know how to, then there's not much change either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we're in that time where they don't want to pass the baton, right? So, like we were saying, how do we expect progressive change if the people who are sitting in those seats don't want to mold or groom the next leaders that are coming up, you know? And just growing up and just seeing that now, it's just like, well, how do you expect, for example, how do you expect for Tallahassee to get better if you won't give us the resources so we can get better, right?
So we're back